Is Chelsea Football Club still the pride of London, or has their story taken a turn? In this video, we'll dive into the history of Chelsea FC, from their humble beginnings to their most monumental triumphs, and we'll explore what lies ahead under their new ownership. Stay tuned for a deep dive into the highs, lows, and future of Chelsea's legacy, only here on Sports Frenzy TV. Chelsea's story begins in 1905, which actually makes it one of the younger clubs in the Premier League. The club's formation was, interestingly, a bit of an accident. In 1904, a man named Gus Mears bought the Stamford Bridge Athletic Stadium in Fulham, hoping to turn it into a football stadium. He initially tried leasing it to Fulham FC, but they declined the offer. Rather than let the stadium go unused, Mears decided to establish his own team that would call Stamford Bridge home. Since Fulham already had a team with its name, they settled on the name Chelsea after a neighboring borough. Thus, Chelsea FC was born, and a new chapter in English football history began. From its early days, Chelsea gained a reputation for making big-name signings, which helped it attract fans quickly. They recorded the highest average attendance in English football in 10 different seasons. But the true turning point for the club came in 1952 when former Arsenal player Ted Drake took on the role of manager. Drake brought a wave of changes, eliminating the pensioner mascot, strengthening the youth system, and investing in wiser signings. These changes bore fruit in 1955 when Chelsea won their first league title, granting them entry to the inaugural European Cup. However, they were convinced to withdraw, leaving England without representation in the competition. The 1970s marked Chelsea's first FA Cup win and their initial European success with a victory over Real Madrid in the 1971 UEFA Cup Winners' Cup final. The early 70s seemed promising, but financial struggles hit hard toward the decade's end. A costly redevelopment project at Stamford Bridge placed the club in a tough financial position, forcing them to sell star players, leading to relegation from the first division and even coming close to dropping to the third tier. In the 1990s, Chelsea found relief through Matthew Harding, who joined the board and loaned the club £26 million to invest in players. As a founding member of the Premier League in 1992, Chelsea was given a fresh start, although they struggled until 1996 when Ruud Gullit, a former Ballon d'Or winner, became player-manager. His appointment revitalized the team, leading them to an FA Cup victory in 1997, their first major trophy in over 25 years. The late 90s saw further success under Gianluca Vialli, who won the League Cup, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and the UEFA Super Cup, securing Chelsea's place in the Champions League. However, financial difficulties re-emerged in the early 2000s, placing the club in desperate need of another savior. This time, Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich stepped in, purchasing Chelsea in 2003 and wiping out much of its £80 million debt. Abramovich's arrival brought a spending spree, shelling out over £100 million on players in his first season. Yet, Chelsea's manager at the time, Claudio Ranieri, failed to win any trophies, leading Abramovich to replace him with Jose Mourinho. Fresh from a Champions League win with Porto, Mourinho arrived at Chelsea in 2004, immediately making headlines by referring to himself as the Special One. With Abramovich's financial backing, Mourinho brought in high-profile players like Didier Drogba, Michael Essien, and Ricardo Carvalho. His leadership and strategic prowess were soon evident, with Chelsea winning the Premier League in both his first and second seasons, along with an FA Cup and 2 League Cups. Although Mourinho's tenure transformed Chelsea into a European powerhouse, his time at the club was cut short. Abramovich had a reputation for dismissing managers who didn't deliver silverware, leading to a series of managerial changes. Avram Grant succeeded Mourinho and guided Chelsea to their first ever Champions League final in 2008, where they narrowly lost to Manchester United on penalties. Despite falling short, Abramovich's relentless pursuit of trophies saw him rotate through coaches, including Grant and later Carlo Ancelotti. Ancelotti received Chelsea's first ever domestic double by winning both the Premier League and FA Cup in 2010. It was during his time that the club made the record-breaking signing of Fernando Torres for £50 million, a decision that proved controversial due to Torres' lackluster performance. The managerial changes continued, and in 2011, Andre Villas-Boas took over but was soon replaced by Roberto Di Matteo after a series of disappointing results. Di Matteo's tenure was short but historic. Under his guidance, Chelsea received what had eluded them for so long: Champions League glory. In a thrilling final against Bayern Munich, held in Bayern's home stadium, Chelsea won on penalties after Didier Drogba scored a last-minute equalizer. This victory made Chelsea the first London club to claim the Champions League title. However, in true Chelsea fashion, Di Matteo was dismissed the following season after a poor run in the Champions League. Chelsea continued its relentless managerial shuffle, hiring Rafael Benitez, who led them to Europa League success in 2013. This win made Chelsea the only club in history to hold both the Champions League and Europa League titles simultaneously. Benitez's departure opened the door for Mourinho's return, and in 2015, he guided Chelsea to another Premier League title and a League Cup victory. However, even Mourinho couldn't escape the cycle, as he was sacked halfway through the 2015-16 season after a poor run of form. Antonio Conte's arrival in 2016 brought fresh success. He led Chelsea to another Premier League title in his debut season, edging out a strong challenge from Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Despite winning the FA Cup the following year, Conte's failure to secure a Champions League spot led to his dismissal, and Maurizio Sarri was brought in. Sarri's single season saw Chelsea lift the Europa League trophy after defeating Arsenal in the final, although he too parted ways with the club afterward. Frank Lampard, a club legend, was appointed in 2019, making him the first English manager at Chelsea in over 20 years. Under a transfer ban, Lampard promoted young talent, bringing up players like Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, and Reece James, which helped Chelsea secure a top-4 finish. However, once the ban was lifted, Chelsea returned to their tradition of heavy spending, signing players like Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, and Bell Chilwell. Unfortunately, Lampard struggled to produce consistent results and was dismissed halfway through the season. Thomas Tuchel replaced Lampard and immediately made an impact, guiding Chelsea to both an FA Cup final and, more importantly, a Champions League final. In 2021, Chelsea defeated Manchester City to secure their second Champions League title, followed by a UEFA Super Cup and FIFA Club World Cup victory. To compete for the Premier League title, Chelsea made the high-profile signing of Romelu Lukaku, which unfortunately turned out to be another costly misstep. In 2022, Chelsea faced unprecedented challenges. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Roman Abramovich was forced to sell the club due to financial sanctions imposed on Russian oligarchs. He forgave a substantial £1.5 billion debt owed to him by the club and promised to donate proceeds from the sale to Ukrainian war victims. A consortium led by Todd Bowley acquired Chelsea in a deal worth £4.25 billion, ending Abramovich's 19-year tenure. This transition saw significant staff changes, with notable figures like Marina Granovskaya and Petr Cech leaving. Under new ownership, Chelsea continued its big spending habits, acquiring players like Raheem Sterling, Wesley Fofana, and Enzo Fernandez for record fees. Despite these hefty investments, success remained elusive, and the club cycled through managers like Graham Potter and Lampard, who returned briefly as a caretaker. Chelsea's performance dipped, with a 12th place finish in the Premier League, marking their lowest placement in 27 years. Currently, Mauricio Pochettino has taken charge, aiming to steer Chelsea back to prominence. However, the club remains in a state of flux, with an overpopulated squad and ongoing spending without immediate results. As Chelsea navigates this new era, fans are left wondering if the club will rediscover the success of the Abramovich years or face a prolonged period of struggle. Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: Chelsea's journey is never short of drama, excitement, and surprises. Chelsea's journey has been a wild ride of ups, downs, and constant reinvention, proving there's never a dull moment at Stamford Bridge. What do you think? Can Chelsea bounce back to their former glory? Or are we in for more surprises? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of football. Thanks for watching and catch you in the next one.